Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. This is episode number 222, The Eagle Obsession. And my very special guest that is going to be joining us tonight is a filmmaker. He's a writer, director, and a producer. And he's also my friend, and he's Mr. Jeffrey Morris. Jeffrey, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Jeffrey. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be here, man. I'm glad your power's back on.
Oh, thanks so much. And thanks for all the flexibility, too. I mean,
absolutely.
Last Wednesday was kind of we had a really bad storm that came through, but we are good and we're ready to go. All so I just want to thank the folks that are out there that are joining us. I know we are on a special time. We are on 8:30 Eastern time on a Sunday. When this is usually a little later than we are normally doing. So thank you, folks, for being out there. We have a lot to cover. We are going to cover kind of quickly because we're going to Jeffrey's going to be traveling tomorrow too. So just want to give everybody a heads up on that. Just to say hi to the folks that are joining us. Bill Graff is out there. Want to welcome Bill. Sue is joining us from Massachusetts. Jeff Rubel is joining us from Utah. And Sue was saying, hi, Jeffrey, thanks for coming back to the show. I cannot tell you how much I love the new credits you did for Roy's show. They are out of this world awesome.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun. It puts a big smile on my face, every time you play it. So it's great. I wanted you to have something special because your show is something special. So
thanks, Jeffrey. And the credits are very special. Thank you for that. Yeah. Randy Lee is joining us. He's joining us from Wisconsin. May is also out there. May, welcome to the show. John is joining us. Welcome, John. Great to see you out there.
Well, John.
And thank you, John. Thank you for the about the power. And Lou is joining us from Rhode Island. So anyway, just wanted to welcome everybody. And again, thank you. So Jeffrey, there is so much to discuss in this, and we're going to try to just condense everything. But as a lot of folks know that this is a production, this whole idea, this concept really just started about, it's crazy. This year, it'll be 2 years ago that this really came to be, as far as an idea that you had and putting this documentary together. And really, it's not only a documentary about the Eagle from Space 1999, which we all, as Space 1999 fans, hold very dear to our hearts. But really, this movie is a journey.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Really, and it's something that is very dear and close to you in regards to that. And also, I think it's something that can be relatable to so many people out there, whether you're in Space 1999 fandom, as far as that, or if you are a fan of the Eagle. It's really a nostalgia piece, and it really comes together to encompass so much of everything that it really holds true.
Yeah,
so I just wanted to get out there about that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's funny because the Eagle is the centerpiece of the story, but at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. It's kind of a personal journey into. It's a nostalgia piece, but it's really, to me, I don't feel like anyone's ever told this story about how much that era impacted people our age. There's a lot of discussion about how much Star Wars impacted people, right? There's movies about it, right? You've had some of those people as guests, I think, the guys who made that film and stuff like that. And there's all kinds of nostalgia about Star Wars, and it changed the world. But I kind of think that the Apollo missions changed the world, as far as a whole generation. And I also think that there were those of us who followed Apollo, followed Skylab. Really, we're looking for a real future that was not even similar to Star Trek, I should say. That really was based on, hey, if NASA's here right now, and I'm a kid, when I grow up and I'm the age, and I'm of age, I could be on the moon. I could be on a space station. I could be going to Mars. I could be part of that whole thing, right? It's like, imagine one way to think about it. It's like, what if Starfleet were real, right? What would that be like? I mean, and I'm not talking about the sort of fantasy elements of Star Trek and everything, but just imagine if Star Trek were real, like real life, and there was really Starfleet, right? Can you imagine how motivating it would be for people like us? We'd be like, man, I've got to work hard because I want to be up there. I want to be part of that, right?
You want to be part of it, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And because my gosh, if there was really Starfleet, I can't imagine what it would have been like. And in a lot of ways, I think NASA was our Starfleet for kids like us at the time, right? And so with NASA being our Starfleet, I think that we dreamt of this future. So then along comes Space 1999 in 1975. And again, taking the show out of it and ultimately the course of the direction of the show, the narrative, but the idea of setting a story on a moon base 25 years in the future, that was right up our alley, right? That's our Starfleet. That's our future right there in front of us. And I just don't feel like anyone's ever really talked about that, like what the impact that was on our whole generation and our lives and everything. And so that's really what this documentary is about, is that whole thing. So like when I meet with Dr. Cyan Proctor, I'm interviewing her. She went up on the SpaceX mission, Inspiration 4, a couple of years ago. And she was directly influenced to become a scientist and ultimately an astronaut because of science fiction, watching science fiction as a child, watching with her father, who was an aerospace engineer who worked on NASA projects and missions and that sort of thing. I think there's just a whole story here that just hasn't been told, and I think that it's really exciting. And yeah, I think you can tell by the 12 minutes that we're trying to weave an intricate narrative that's this travelogue, but I'm really not stopping with the Eagle. I'm not stopping with Space 1999. We're really going to go all kinds of places with this. It's always going to go back to the Eagle, right? But at the end of the day, it's about that journey and about the whole idea of this hope and dream of becoming better. And at the end of the documentary, we're actually going to be doing some things that are going to be talking about the hope of the future and where we can still go today and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. And, you bringing that up too, it's almost like there's a gap in our history in regards to that. And we've talked about this previously. So in a way, this is almost going to be like the bridge to fill in that piece and where we kind of fell off and where we are kind of like today. But all of that is missing is going to be covered. And it's great to use the Eagle as a centerpiece because it's, in a lot of ways, it's something that many of us, a lot of us, and the people, the fans that are out there, can relate to, but it's also tapping into a lot of the feelings and a lot of the exposure that we had growing up in the 1970s as we saw these missions taking place. And it's that connection. So it's really, really,
there's an excitement. There's an excitement that just doesn't, I think that there's certainly a fervor for what SpaceX is doing among certain people. I think people have an excitement about, SpaceX and watching them. Certainly when you see a rocket go up and come back and land on its rear end, like a 1950s sci-fi film, it's pretty cool, right? To pull that off over and over and over again. That is a huge technical achievement. But I don't know if if everybody understands what the national and international feeling was about humanity. Literally this idea that humanity was going to the moon. Yes, there were these 12 guys who walked on the moon, but those 12 guys were extensions of all of us, right? And there was this amazing future that they were paving the way. They were paving the path to that future. That's what it felt like,
And I love the fact that what you just said about you and utilizing Starfleet, if there was, if that was taking place, and this would be something that we would want to get into, because I think in a lot of terms of science fiction and even reality, it's something that we can relate to because it's more present day now than anything. And when we think back to that period of time, really, it's the same thing, only it's taking place like 50 years ago.
Right.
And that's really truly makes it exciting.
Right. And honestly, the energy and the discussion that I'm trying to have, I really think it's been on hold for 50 years. That's the thing. I mean, it's like, you can literally see it reading the comments on the YouTube, of the YouTube video of our promo. That you can see people who are taken back immediately to that feeling, immediately back to that era, and it's fascinating to me, right? If you think about it, it's almost like we hit pause, and it's like, whoa, and then I think that Star Wars and some of the other science fiction of the time and things like that filled in this gap, but there wasn't. That's an entertainment gap. It's an entertainment thing. It's not reality. Does that make, what I mean? Right.
Oh, it totally makes sense. Because every time you and I talk about this, I'm actually in my mind, I'm actually going back, and reliving those events as a child in my mind as we talk about it, because I remember how it was being around my school friends, or watching the evening news, and then hearing, the talk among the parents that, this was taking place, that, we were going to be going to the moon, or there was, in regards to Skylab, that was taking place when it was in orbit, and then when it even was coming down. So it's almost like this progression that took place. And it was through the 1970s, which really at the time seemed like an infinite amount of time. Now it's like, and it's really like only like almost a 10-year period.
Exactly. Yeah. We're only talking about a decade, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And in that decade, it's like the whole world was in a different place. And I'm even going to postulate, and I know that some people wouldn't want to hear this, but I don't care. My view is that I actually think that was the peak of humanity. I think our peak was going to the moon. I really do. Now we have technology that didn't exist then, right? And we have entertainment that didn't exist then, and devices and all this kind of stuff that didn't exist back then. But if you look at the human spirit and the ability to reason and critical thinking and common knowledge and literacy and all this sort of thing, if you go back to that late 60s, early 70s time, I think that was kind of our peak in a lot of ways, right? And I think going to the moon was a big part of that. And I think we've been on a decline. And well, there's no question. And you can see it statistically. There's all kinds of things that show this. And I really believe that something like this, again, is necessary. I think that's what's missing for our species, is that we need a group effort to say, we're going to get out there. We're going to change things. And by getting out there, we also make this place better. I know a lot of people say, well, why should we be spending money to go out there when we should be fixing this place? Well, of course, we can do both. Right. Why don't we just prioritize both? It's like, absolutely, we should be fixing this place. But, there are a lot of possibilities and things out there that could actually ruin our ability to live on this planet. And if we want to exist as a species and we want to continue forward, because honestly, there's nothing else. We know of no other species in the universe. We don't know of life anywhere else. One, right? Two, we don't know of intelligent life anywhere else. Okay. And three, I really believe that we have a responsibility that comes with that intelligence to do something with it, and really do something with it. So that, again, getting back to why I loved, Space 1999, the original Star Trek, The Next Generation, because it showed us at our best. It showed us working together. It showed us getting out there. And that spirit connects directly to what was going on that time in the late 60s and early 70s. I really believe it. So I really want this documentary to epitomize everything that I was just saying. But what we're going to do is, I'm not going to be on some big soapbox in the documentary. You've seen the piece that we've done. It's really about taking you on this journey. And I think audiences are going to start to figure this out. I think a lot of people are going to watch this and go, wait, I never thought of this. I didn't realize this. That's what I'm hoping this does.
Yeah. And it's really like a way of connecting the dots, but it's over and it's throughout the world, which is in itself is an awesome journey. I just want to comment some of the folks that are joining us. Sherry's out there. She's saying, hi, Jeffrey. And I just want to say hi, hun. Claudia Combs is out there. Welcome, Claudia, to the show. Folks, just to let you know, I've actually shared the link for the documentary page in the comments section. All you have to do is click on it so you can find out more information about the documentary and on the website. So please, if you for more information, please click on that. We'll be also talking about some other stuff. Let me just see. I just want to see if there's anybody else. Bill just commented too. He said 50 years ago, wouldn't it seem possible that we wouldn't have a moon base, but by now 2020.
It's kind of almost like what Kevin Anderson says in the documentary, right? It's like when he says, if I had been a science fiction writer and written a story in the 1960s that we went there and just stopped, I would have been laughed out of the genre. Nobody would have imagined this. And I really think that a lot of people nowadays don't get that like there was something happening then. We were heading somewhere. And it's really sad to see it have changed direction. So I think
unfortunately it's like a roller coaster that's going up, 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 and up, and then it just kind of comes down.
Yeah.
It's really what happened.
Yeah.
Folks, the other thing I want to let you know is we were referencing about in regards to, there is a 12-minute preview if you have not checked it out already. And I have shared the link in the comments section for that as well. And that is now up to 205,000 views. So just to put that out there, which is incredible. And this will really give you a taste of what the documentary is about. So you definitely, if you have not seen it, please check it out. Please subscribe to it as well, too.
Yeah, give it a like, give it a positive comment, hopefully, because all those things matter. Because at some point, when I'm pitching this to networks or streamers or to additional investors, other people are going to be looking at that to see what is there an audience for this. And I think that too. Here's one thing, just to tell that story. When we put that on YouTube 2 weeks ago, it's only been 2 weeks. So we've gotten 205,000 views in 2 weeks. And what happened was, I was literally just putting the link on there. We made this promo, but the promo was really for our team to look at, for potential investors to look at, and I was like, well, let's just put it out so that, in case we have people who want to see it or want to understand what we're doing with the documentary, it's there. Right. But I had no intention of it going viral or having it be a promotional tool of any, it was literally just put it on YouTube and leave it there. I thought it might get a couple hundred views. Right. And when it started racking up, and then I have people reaching out to me from different parts of the world, like emailing me going, hey man, YouTube just fed me this. I just saw your documentary. I've never seen this. I didn't know you were doing this, or things like that. It's really cool. And the responses have been overwhelmingly positive. If you look at the comments, we have almost 780 comments or something like that. And they are almost 100% unanimously positive. So it's been phenomenal. I mean, to have that kind of acceptance, and it proves that there is an audience for this, and it proves that we're doing something worthwhile, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, within a 2-week period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to welcome Deborah. Deborah's joining us from Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Welcome, Deborah. And also, Andrew Ray's out there. Andrew is joining us from Australia, Jeffrey. So.
Hey, Andrew. Good to see you.
John just commented, when we were young, the world seemed hungrier for science and exploration. We just assumed we would keep on going. So true.
Yep.
It really is. Scott Anderson is also out there. I can remember watching an episode in 1999, then going outside to watch Apollo Soyuz pass overhead. Always thought.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Apollo Soyuz was this huge deal for me at the time. And it was, hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. But there was this through line, right? It connected. It was like, wow. And I just feel the Eagle epitomized it. Basically the idea that you could have this spacecraft that looked like it was a descendant of the lunar module and descendant of NASA technology and that sort of thing. I mean, it just felt natural, and that's why I liked it so much as a kid. And that's why I've never lost my love of it.
I was just talking to a friend, because we just did a murder mystery today, and my friend Gary, and it's in the show with us, and we were talking about the whole thing in regards to the Eagle, and he's catching up with it on, with his girlfriend and everything. And he was talking about the love of it, and he was saying how it reminded him in a lot of ways of, the moon lander. There's similarities in regards to it, and it was just, had the connection that he had in regards to the ship, and that he was drawn to it. And it's just another example. And speaking of which, just to remind folks, just some different shots of the Eagle, just to take a look at. But one thing I want to do is, again, we were talking about the movie in regards to being a journey, Jeffrey, and you're going to be going to so many different locations. I mean, it's going to be, starting out in Minnesota and talking about, just giving everybody the basis and a progression.
Well, let's go back to that for a second. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's not stock footage there. We shot that as part of this documentary. It's one thing. And that's the town that I live in, here in Minnesota. It's called Stillwater. So, and it's on the border. So that you see that river there, that's called the St. Croix. And then across that river is Wisconsin. So I live basically on the border between, the edge of Minnesota going into Wisconsin. And it's an absolutely beautiful area, wonderful place. And it's, Minnesota's been my home since the late 80s. Actually, I came up here after college, and absolutely love it up here. And I want to start off with showing kind of rooting this in real life. That's a big part of it. So you're going to see in the beginning of the documentary, you're going to get to know a little bit about me and a little bit about where I'm coming from and everything, and then you go off on the journey. So that's a big part of it. That's why we did that. And the other thing is, again, I cannot stress enough, I want this to appeal to people who have never even heard of Space 1999 or the Eagle. And it's super important that they have touch points. I want, there's a notorious, it's really funny. Years ago, I was on, I tried out the dating app, Match.com, and it was really interesting. There was advice they literally talked about. If you're a guy, don't overly discuss science fiction, they said, because it turns women off, right? And I've had a lot of women I've known in my life say, I don't like sci-fi, right? That kind of thing. Well, I don't want to turn, I want them to watch this. I want people who would normally go, I don't care about that, I've never heard of it. I want them to go, this is really cool, this is really interesting. And that's the response we seem to be getting from the promo, you know. So I wanted to throw that out there as a start.
And that's an awesome point.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't it amazing how that's changed over the years too? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you think back, you know, it wasn't really the case. And or is it just that it would seem like there was a stigma to it, but really the people really do embrace it. They really love it. And it's just now.
And there certainly have been women who love science fiction all along. They're women, some of the greatest science fiction authors of all time have been women. You know, it's like, right. It's like, that's a stereotype, but,
yep.
But unfortunately, like many stereotypes, there are also some basis, you know, in reality too, you know. And it's certainly, I've certainly run into my share of people, of women in my life who are like, I don't like sci-fi, you know.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, and so I want them to see that this is an organic human story. It's not just about tech, and it's not about, you know, like, you know, it's funny. I want to embrace fandom and I want to showcase fandom, but I also don't want to. That's not what this is about. You know, it's an element, not the full story.
And that's why I really wanted to convey at the beginning that this really is a journey, and it's a nostalgic journey. And there's so many different types of components to it. Mm-hmm. I have to just interject real quickly too, because my wife Shari, she is a science fiction. You know, she loves it. Maybe not to the point that I do, but it's definitely something that she appreciates.
Oh yeah, my wife. It was funny. I was talking to her one time. I was like, "So, what's your favorite movie?" And she said, "Blade Runner." You know, it's like, well, that's cool. You know. Yeah.
But sharing the next screen real quick, I wanted to bring up about Charles Duke. Now, he was the Apollo 16 astronaut, and now the Apollo 16 was the last mission that actually went to the moon.
No, Apollo 17 was actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was a few months before Apollo 17. So Apollo 17, this was in 1972. Apollo 17 had their final. They were on the moon in December of 72. I believe this was August of 72. Apollo 16, and he Charles Duke was a lunar module pilot.
Yep.
That right with John Young, who was the commander, and John Young. Yeah, go ahead.
He almost wound up not going from what I was reading too, because of, I guess there was he got sick or something had happened, and just a lot of different things leading up to it. But then he found, you know, he did make the journey, and being a fan and also really looking at him as almost as a hero, then having the opportunity to meet him and discuss about his adventures. This had to be really something that was very special in regards to doing the documentary.
Oh, it was one of the greatest things in my life to meet him and get to hang out with him and spend a couple hours talking about all this and everything. It went really, really well. We had a wonderful conversation, and we talked all about. I learned a lot from him. I really got into his head about what it was like going up there and being there. You know, and there's one thing when you have this sort of heroic depiction of like, well, we're on the moon and everything's good and it's all awesome, you know, and it was great. Well, he kind of talked about the fact that he was kind of scared. You know, it was like, you know, these machines are very tenuous, and the idea of us launching this thing and shaking it and vibrating it and then sending it out into space and, you know, and firing these engines multiple times and stuff. It's like, I hope this holds together till we get back. I mean, he talks about that in the documentary, and then he told me about some things that I had never heard about, you know, and this is me being someone who's studied Apollo since I was a kid, you know, but he told me these personal things about it. And, you know, I asked him, like, what was it like going through reentry? And then he talked to me about all these things that they did to basically give the command module its own aerodynamics as it went into the atmosphere, basically, and so that it wouldn't either skip off the atmosphere or go in too deep, you know, too steep and burn up. Right. He was talking about how all that was, you know, what that was like and everything. So it was very, very interesting story we had. So I got it all on. I could literally do a little mini documentary, just me and him talking. We got on camera like 50 minutes with me and him.
Wow.
You know, which is really cool. But it was, I think one of the biggest compliments of my career after was the audio guy who actually is from Florida, and he had done a lot of projects at NASA over the years. And he said, you know, this was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because you and he really hit it off and you guys had a real conversation. And that was really cool. So that I'm super excited. When people watch the 12 minutes, you're only seeing a little bit of it. I'm giving an excerpt to just give you a sense. But like when we finally have his section of the documentary, it'll probably be about 5 minutes of the documentary. Just like, you know, Todd Morton, you're going to have a lot more about his background and creating props and ships and all the things he did, and Jan Vinneberg and what Jan did to build his Eagle. We're going to really get into that, you know. So, but again, the 12 minutes, I could only show you a little bit of it, but each segment's going to be, you know, 3 to 5 minutes long, you know, as we go. So, yeah.
No, and I definitely wanted to touch upon that point, just because when you know, we had talked and you were even saying that, you know, really he was almost like a hero to you, and then having the opportunity to meet and discuss with somebody that, you know, somebody that actually was on the moon, and then actually experience what you were just saying, as far as, you know, we've seen this in science fiction where, you know, ships are coming through like re-entry, and then, like you said, potential, you know, bouncing off the atmosphere. Star Trek talked about it with like the Galileo, where, you know, like the Galileo burns up in the atmosphere. And you're thinking about, you know, a ship that's coming back to Earth, and even in the excerpt that you showed, that within that 12 minutes, even to your point, when he said, you know, about it, you're wondering, is this going to hold together? You can only imagine. And so I just wanted to touch upon that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then also, let me just share the screen again. So, and I just took some shots, and then this was during his mission where he was on the moon. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's him right there. That's him. Both of those images are him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the Apollo 16 was the first scientific expedition to inspect, survey, and sample materials on the moon, which is just really, really cool in itself too. So besides going to Florida, and there's also a shot of Charles Duke. Again.
Yeah, those are actual shots for the documentary. For those who haven't seen it, those are actual shots of things we filmed for the documentary, which is really cool. So yeah.
And then you go to Colorado, and then that's where you're meeting with Kevin J.
We should add also back on the previous that NASA actually gave us the run of that facility. There's just me and him, literally that huge facility. They let us have it to do this interview. Wow. So I mean, that's this huge multi-million-dollar facility. It was a huge honor that they let us do that. So it's great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Andrew's commenting. He's saying, the 12 minutes looks awesome. I can't wait to see the whole thing. It's going to be amazing.
No, thank you. Yeah.
And Randy just comments. He said, how can I donate to this project? It sounds amazing. Randy, we'll be talking about that.
Yeah. We'd love to get your help. As a matter of fact, we need some help right now. We're trying to, we'll talk about it here in a few minutes, but basically, you know, we'd like to, you know, I've been able to keep this thing moving through some private investment, personal investment, and everything. And then I've got some big investors who are in the wings who have committed to investing in the project, which would get it to the finish line. I just want to give everybody a sense of what this thing is really going to cost. It's been, you know, like the average documentary, the high-end documentaries, I've been talking to some producers. They cost somewhere between $2.5 to $3 million. And we're going to be spending about half that. We're spending about $1.5 million to make this documentary. Now, you could do it lots of different ways, right? You could set people up in a room and talk, you know, like talking heads, like 60 Minutes or something. I felt it was very important that this become a dynamic, moving, flowing journey where we go someplace and we see things visually, and it's cinematic and it's big in scope. It's very important. And that's the other thing, is like, I'm not just a documentary guy, I'm a filmmaker. I want to make big, you know, I want to do stuff like Dune Part 2, you know, and you've seen Persephone, right? I mean, that's where I'm going, you know. You know, so that'll be where we go after we do this documentary. But I guess in the meantime, you know, we have a gap, and we're trying to keep our momentum. We've shot from a bunch of locations, but now we have a big run of locations we need to shoot between now and the end of April. So we're trying to see if the fans of the project will step in and help us out a little bit with this Indiegogo campaign, so that we can cover some of the costs. So there's a lot of little things that happen, like you know, obviously there's travel costs, there's crews, you know, I've got sound, I've got cameras. There's actually location permits. For example, in a week or so, I'm shooting with Bill George, who's the Oscar-winning visual effects supervisor, who worked on everything from Star Trek: The Motion Picture to Blade Runner to, you know, E.T., Star Trek 2, Harry Potter, you know, all these great films. And Bill's coming on board, and we're going to really this is an amazing conversation Bill and I are going to have. He and I were working on it the other day, but we're going to interview him in San Francisco, and we're going to talk about why he feels the Eagle design endures so much, and what they did in the show to make the Eagle feel so real. Like it's really, actually, he brought a perspective that I hadn't even thought about. And I think people are going to love it when they see what he has to say. And then he's also going to talk about how like visual effects were never the same after that. You know, how it literally influenced Star Wars and other stuff, right? Space 1999 did in the visual effects and stuff. So the point is, when I'm filming with him, not only do I need to get to him and have a crew there, but I also have to, we're shooting at the Presidio across from the Golden Gate Bridge there. And I have to pay for location permits to be able to shoot with him there, you know, stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that's happened. You know, I got lucky with NASA. They let me use it for free, but I had to provide like $1 million worth of insurance to be in there. This is all the stuff that comes with making a documentary like this. So, yeah.
Nothing is cheap and nothing is free, right, Jeffrey?
That's right. That's right.
Especially if you want to have the quality, which this is definitely going to have. Mm-hmm. Just going on to the next step, I just wanted to bring up about you're going to Colorado and you met with Kevin J. Anderson. Yep.
I sure did. And Kevin gave a lot of insight into how Space 1999 impacted him and the Eagle and that sort of thing. And we're working on something right now where Kevin and I might be a part 2 in the documentary where Kevin and I go to, there's a facility where they're building the new Orion capsule, which is going to the moon. Right. And all the testing and all the electronics and all the stuff, they're building the capsule there near Colorado Springs or outside of Denver. And so I'm working on it. I'll know more tomorrow, but I'm trying to basically get it so that Kevin and I can go. So we've got we've rebuilt the Eagle cockpit that's going to be in that, right? And the Eagle cockpit's there and it's awesome and completely realistic, believable new version. And you even helped us with that. But then wouldn't it be neat to have Kevin and I get inside the cockpit of a real spacecraft that's really going to the moon and sort of, you know, counterpoint that. So that's what we're working on also. So I think it'll be really fun to do that. So we're working on it. And Kevin's in. He said he's willing to be part of that segment. So this is what I'm working on all the time. This is this weekend. This just literally came up in the last 2 days. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
again, everything's just progression.
Yep.
Also, I just want to say hi to Nancy. Nancy's out there. She's joining us from Calgary, Alberta.
Hi, Nancy.
And also, your son is out there also, Ian.
Ian. How you doing, son?
In fact, he commented just a little earlier, too, and I'm just going to throw it up on the screen really quickly, and I apologize, Ian, that I didn't get it up earlier. He said, I think the idea of bettering yourself as the motivation of most is in Star Trek is the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and also Kentucky, and that again, that was from last year, and that was from Wonderfest.
Well, you had your cameo, which is cool. Yeah,
and also in Indiana, and that's where you met with Todd.
Yep.
And then also Denmark with Jan.
Yep. And again, the part that's so amazing is that all this imagery you're seeing is all stuff we shot. That's the thing. These backgrounds and everything is part of the, you know. So.
I'll tell you those. It looks pretty amazing. And then England again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Pinewood Studios, right? You know, it's like I literally went with Brian Johnson to the actual stage where they shot Space 1999 on Pinewood Studios, 50 plus years ago. And like Pinewood's been a legend for me since I was a kid. I've always thought Pinewood was like, oh my God, it's Pinewood Studios,
Of course.
And so. To get a chance to actually have the Eagle rebuilt there and actually be working there and part of this, it's been an amazing journey. And I really think it's going to end up being a big foundation of the future of my career as a filmmaker. A lot of this is working with the people at Pinewood and going forward, which has really been my dream situation my entire career. So it's awesome.
Scott's commenting saying this just keeps getting better and better. How cool.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing is, because you've seen the script and you're one of the few people who's actually seen the script, but you can tell everyone without us spoiling it, there's some really cool things we've got planned for this documentary that are going to blow people's socks. I mean, it's like, it's like all I can say is a couple things are like War Games and Guardian of Piri. That's all I'll just say that, Yeah.
That definitely says it all.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put up also, you're going to be doing additional interviews that are going to be coming up that are going to be filmed early, you just brought it up too, and it's going to be taking
Yeah,
place.
so I'm shooting with Dr. Proctor on Tuesday. I'm doing some other stuff, that interstitial stuff in Arizona. That's because my childhood was in Arizona when I was watching Space 1999. So we're going to go back and really do some, kind of background on me and one of my childhood friends who's also, she's a big Space 1999 fan who grew up idolizing Barbara Bain, and she's now a doctor, scientist, and she's doing all kinds of really cool stuff. So I'm doing some really cool things. She owns a ranch in Arizona, and she and I are going to be like talking about Space 1999, but we're going to be doing it on horseback. It's going to be super cool. So that's one thing. That's one of the things we're doing. And then I go from there to California, where I'm going to meet with Michael and Denise Okuda, and we're going to be looking at sets and props from For All Mankind.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that. And the big reason why I want to talk about For All Mankind is because of the alternate reality that they have, where the Apollo missions never stopped and they kept going and everything, and how, I think it's a really important aspect of the story. Like, well, what could have happened, and why was there an impetus to create For All Mankind, and what's that about? So that's what I'm going to be talking with the Okudas about. And then let's see, I go to San Francisco. I have the interview with Bill George I told you guys about. Then I go with I come back to Los Angeles, and then I'm going to be interviewing Barbara Bain. So that'll be really neat. So so really, it's going to be really fun. And the thing that I think is going to be very touching about is I'm actually my childhood friend. I'm actually bringing her with me to meet Barbara Bain. So this is this woman who idolized Barbara Bain as a small child, and now I'm going to introduce the two of them, which I think is going to be. And I'm hoping, again, that it's one of those things. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it. Like, the whole idea is to create this emotional thread here.
Yep.
And obviously I'm doing it through my own personal life, my own personal journey. But I'm hoping that will represent this for everyone who cares about this as well. Right? You have to have some sort of anchor point with this. You have to. Yeah. And then let's see. I'm also going to be including kids in this. I'm actually going to be working with a group of 5th graders, and I'm going to be filming with them you don't even know about this. I'm filming with them at the end of March and the beginning of April. And I'm actually going to challenge these 5th graders to look at the difference between sci-fi spaceships versus real spaceships. And I'm going to go, how would you guys make an Eagle actually work? If you took this ship, how would you really do it? I'm going to have these 5th graders do it. And then I'm going to introduce them to a friend of mine, Aldo Spadani, who's he worked a lot with Northrop Grumman. He worked on the F-18 fighter. He's done a bunch of really cool, aerospace stuff, but he's also a Hollywood advisor, and he actually helped design the Iron Man suit. He designed the planes in the movie Stealth, and he also helped design the Iron Man suits for Iron Man 1 and 2 and all these things, right? So he's actually going to be designing his own Eagle. Like, what would the Eagle, how he's going to look at it and go, all right, what would it really look like if you really made this thing work? What would it really do? And then he's going to work with the kids. I'm bringing him to talk with the kids. That's going to be a little bit of the documentary, but it's going to be this ongoing little story of me bringing these kids into the story. So cool. So that's something that's going to be part of bringing the future into the story, right? So showing these kids, and what I'm dreaming and I'm hoping will come from this is that some of these little kids will say, gosh, I want to grow up and become an astronaut or an aerospace engineer or something, So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. And then Aldo and I are actually shooting the last bit I'm going to shoot with him, where it's, you shoot this stuff out of order, right? So the stuff we're doing where I bring the idea to him, would you work with these kids? We're actually shooting it a week after we work with the kids, but we're shooting that in Texas, and he's gotten access. He's part of this group of space artists also. And a bunch of the best space artists in the world, they're all going to this ranch in Texas to see the eclipse, the full eclipse.
Nice.
Right. And so I'm going to be there with the crew, and I'm going to talk to these artists about Space 1999, the Eagle, and we're going to be there while the eclipse is going on. That's what we're doing. So that's all part of the documentary. So you guys get it. It's this is going to be I think people are going to be blown away when they see this. I don't think anybody's going to expect this, what I've been trying to come up with for this, so it's it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we haven't even gotten to all the stuff we're going to shoot at Pinewood Studios, which is the final bit of this, which is, being back in the Eagle cockpit. We're bringing Nick Tate back to the cockpit. We're bringing Brian Johnson. I'm shooting a bunch of stuff with him where he actually explains the Eagle and its development. That's all. So all that's going to be shot kind of last in the England part. We're planning to be there for 2 to 3 weeks and shoot all that stuff there, and some new visual effects stuff and everything. So Yeah.
And for Brian going back, I mean, something that he created over 50 years ago. I mean, that's really got to be hitting home and resonating with him as well, too.
Yeah.
Which is,
well, I cannot tell you again what an honor it's been for me to meet him and to go from being this little kid, seeing his name and going, what are special effects?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what I did. It's like, special effects, what's that? And so then I started looking it up and finding out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, special effects, that's how they're doing the Eagle. That's how they're making these things look real. And then it's like, well, Brian Johnson did that, and he has a team of people, and they did that. I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah. So
I know. And Brian is an amazing guy. I actually had him on the show it's about 3.5 years ago. And it's just that everything that he's done in his career, it is truly amazing. So that is just another component of this, which is going to be really make the film that much more special.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say hi to Michelle. Michelle is joining us from Connecticut. Michelle, welcome. And then also Ben just made a quick comment saying that he was in Texas. He's going to be in Texas too. Yeah.
It's cool. It's good to see you, Ben.
So very, very cool. So, and then lastly, just as we're starting to wrap up too, there's some comments coming in. Randy was asking and Sue was asking. Just wanted to bring up about the campaign that's taking place right now too, in regards to the Indiegogo that's taking place and started 2 days ago. Just to let our viewers know.
I'm trying to raise 50 grand, which the 50 grand would allow me to cover the cost of all the shoots that I just told you guys about. Not England, but everything else. I get it covered with 50 grand. And I'm trying to raise enough money to do that. I mean, right now I'm basically, being honest, throwing a lot of stuff on credit cards, trying to keep it moving and get it done. But, and again, as I said, I have some big investors who are going to, should be coming on board within the next few weeks, and they're going to help us get to the finish line. But in the meantime, I don't want to lose momentum. And there's all kinds of people I can't. Roy, you and I talked about this too. We have a very, 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 very big A-list actress who
Yes.
we're in talks with to be in the documentary, and if it works out, that will completely change the game. So, we have a tentative yes that she's going to be in it. So, fingers crossed on that she's in it. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, like you said, that will definitely be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Hughes is out there. Mary just made a comment. She said she's commenting about the Kickstarter in regards to some of the preferences or some of the things that are with it. Sue was asking about it too, about if there are going to be different perks, which there are going to be perks with this.
There's some perks, but look, guys, we're trying to. Here's the problem. It's. I just got to be blunt. It's like we're trying to make a documentary, and I think one of the things that becomes a frustration point with a lot of the Kickstarters and everything is that you end up like becoming a store. And you're sitting here trying to service this store as opposed to make this great product. And the product is the documentary. And so what we are going to do, some of the perks we're going to have are you will get a chance to get some digital wallpaper, some storyboards, things like that. Everything's access to the documentary. You'll be able to see it. I will say this, there's going to be a coffee table book. That's going to be a new Kickstarter that's coming in the next couple of months. But we're organizing it and figuring it out right now. The coffee table book is going to be created by myself and Jeff Bond, who wrote that wonderful book right behind you. Yep. And Jeff Bond, he's a fantastic author, and he and I have been figuring this out. And we've got the book it's going to be the book on the Eagle. And so, as far as fans are concerned, this is what you're looking for, is this book. And that coffee table book, we are planning to launch that, and that will be available for the 50th anniversary in 2025. That's the goal. So we've been working hard on that. Ron Nesbitt and my team, we've been working hard in the background on developing that book. And so you will be able to join and be involved with that book. And I'll see if there maybe could be some couple other perks there. Also, if what people are referring to in the perks are some of the Eagle models and things like that, if you go to the Eagle documentary website, you'll see that coming soon, we will be selling that. And it's actually going to be cheaper there to buy it there than it would have been to do it via the perks. So you will be able to buy Eagles and Anderson merchandise off of the Eagle documentary website soon, and our special edition Eagle, that's the Future Dude Command Eagle, that's going to be available. So the book's coming, and the Eagles are still going to be available, and we do have a few perks here, but what I'm looking for is help to get the movie made. We got to make a movie. That's the goal. We want to make a movie here. So hope everybody understands that. So yeah. And
just to reinforce, I did share the Indiegogo link in the chat section. Sue was just asking, and I also did share the website for the documentary. It's also in the chat. So all you have to do is just go into that and just make sure everybody's aware of that. Martin just joined us. Hey, Martin. Martin's joined us. So, so a lot of exciting stuff coming up, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we were able to just go through this a little quickly, but I know you're on a time crunch. And,
no, I can give you 5 more minutes if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good. Definitely. Sue just commented too. She just said, Jeff Bond is amazing and the book will be incredible given his writing the book on the Eagle. So she just
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've been outlining the book, and I outlined it before I went to him, and I said, here's what I'm thinking. And it's like it'll be built around 5 sections, and the section 1 is going to be about sort of the genesis of the Eagle itself. So looking at UFO 1999, the sequel series that didn't happen, leading to Space 1999 and the MTU, which was the early name for the Eagle. Looking at the early designs, the evolution of the design, and really talking about that. Then going forward from there to talking about, well, then, okay, once they settled on a design, how did they build the first miniatures and how was that done? And then how did they do the visual effects and all of that, Then we go forward from there to after we talk about, so it's like, design, impetus, design, visual effects, realization, and then go to merchandise. We're going to go heavy into the merchandise side. And I want to do kind of this really extensive section that really talks about all the different types of Eagles that have been available over the years, going all the way back to, obviously the Dinkies and the Airfix and all that sort of thing, Mattel. But, going forward all the way up to 1612 and what we've got going on nowadays, right? And I think that'll be a super fun chapter. The next chapter is going to be all about the art of the Eagle, and really talk about all the different types of art, the fan art, official art, all the different types of art that's been done of it, comic books, all these sorts of things that have been done around it visually. Fan, animations, fan designs, Roberto Baldassari's schematics that he did, other people's schematics, that sort of stuff. And then the last section, and this is what I'm still figuring out, but I think the final section, I'd like to have this book include kind of the quintessential blueprints of the Eagle. Like a final, here's the inside and out, fully detailed, fully realized. Here's the Eagle, as a technical brief, that kind of thing. Like the Haynes manual, right? Haynes guide or whatever. So that's what the book is shaping up to be. We're also talking about the idea, and I don't know if I'll be able to get the rights to do this, but I'd like to maybe include some like narrative sci-fi stories about the Eagle in there, like some short stories in the book. And like Kevin Anderson and I've been talking about the possibility, like, what if we could do a story about what was on Alan Carter's mind when he was trying to catch back up to the moon after it was blasting out of orbit, right? And then using that as a story to kind of leap off into him remembering the first time he flew one or things like that, So that could be a really fun kind of thing too. So
you
still figuring it all out.
With that, Jeffrey. I mean,
say again.
You can really go in so many different directions with that, because there's almost stories that think, those ideas are there. I mean, that have never been explored, which would really make it interesting
absolutely. So I really, we don't have a lot of time to figure it all out, but we're working on it, and we're aggressive about it. So that book will be happening. There will be a Kickstarter around that soon.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then, so that book's going to be the Eagle Obsession, but it's like the coffee table book, right? One other project that that's near and dear to my heart that I want to do when this documentary is finished, once it's finished and in the can, and just so everybody understands the schedule. So I'm shooting through the rest of April into maybe early May. I'm editing lots of editing, May, June, July, August. Then the last bit I'll do is shoot all the parts with me where I'm kind of telling you the story, right? Because like once I get the documentary laid out, then I can kind of figure out, well, what do I need to say to pull this all together into one big piece. So we'll shoot that last, and then we'll cut that together. And then the whole documentary should be ready to, it's going to have its submission to the Tribeca Film Festival in New York by early November. And so that's the target and plan. And then the goal will be to get it sold and distributed for 2025. That's the, late 2025. So hopefully it'll be out before the end of the year. I think we can pull it off, so and everything. But this is part of why we need help, because we want to keep the timeline, because the longer it takes, the more that we, it just stretches it out, and it's harder and harder to get it wrapped up in time, But anyway, in November, Yeah, there will be a physical. There will be a physical, but I can't speak as to exactly how the physical copy will work because the physical copy will be based upon whatever distribution deals we do. So, say for example, if Netflix, for example, takes this on, I'd have to negotiate with them to get a physical copy. They may still allow us to do it, but it's just one of those things you have to figure out. I'm still targeting. I think the quality we've got, we might be able to make this, put it on Apple. That's, and they definitely would let us do a physical version of it, or Amazon. That's another final place. There will be a theatrical. We're in negotiations with Cinemark Theaters about the possibility of making this theatrical release also. And then it would have like a limited run for a few weeks or maybe a month as a movie you could go see in the theater. So that's, it's being shot to be projected on the big screen. That's the goal, and everything. But I wanted to get back to, starting in November, I've got a little fun project I'm planning to do. I think we should do a mini documentary about Dragon's Domain.
I'm with you on that.
and I want to do a Dragon's Domain doc that's like 30 to 45 minutes about how this 1 hour of television scared the heck out of an entire generation of children. And we've never forgotten it. And we've never, and like I said, there's three things whenever I talk to people about, hey, did you ever see this show? And they're like, oh yeah, I like that ship. That ship was really cool. And then it's like, did you see that episode with that monster that will drag people in, and then the third thing they go, I thought Maya was really cool. those are kind of the things that I hear people say, right? But I think Dragon's Domain is something we have to talk about because it's like it never ends. People are constantly referencing it. Every time I'm out talking about this, people bring it up, everything. It's crazy. So so I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I see it as being kind of funny. And I also imagine it. I want to talk about the fact that it was also a real achievement. That episode, is very cinematic, and all the models and all the miniatures and all the stuff. I think it'd be really, really cool. So yeah.
What I always like to bring up the point of that episode is that it was the second to the last episode shot for the series at the end of the first season, and and really they were thinking at that point it was only going to be 24 episodes, and the fact that there was so many incredible effects that were a part of that. And even with doing the monster, 50 years ago, the dragon, so to speak, the effort that was put into that episode, it really, to this day, it holds up.
Absolutely.
And it's always talked about.
It's always talked about. It's always talked about. So so those are some of my thoughts and everything. So I'm really hoping that the people watching could share this and share the Indiegogo link with it. I hope everyone understood my explanation of kind of where we are at the perks and everything. It's just, it's like the other thing to think about with perks is you have to manufacture the perks and you have to distribute, and there's a whole job and a whole thing that comes with that, right? And I'm cool with some of it, but that's why we want to deliver digital stuff and quality digital stuff. You're going to get to see some really neat things in what we've got planned. But at the end of the day, we need your help to make a great movie. And I think if this film works, I really think it could open the door to all kinds of things related to Space 1999 into the future. I think there's possibilities of, I don't want to speculate too much, but I think that I certainly believe that what we're creating will show that, one, there's an audience, and two, that you could tell a modern version of this story in a way. And I'm not talking about a Disney version of that. I'm talking about, real storytelling that works, so.
Well, and again, it's a journey and it encompasses everything. It's a nostalgia piece. It really deals with where we were 50 years ago, and it progresses. So it has a little bit of everything in it to make it, something that's going to be very special and connects us to the Eagle, as well as things that are taking place, on our planet, and really things that we love about everything that it encompasses. So I think this is really a very special project, and I'm very excited about it, Jeffrey. And it's amazing to see.
Me too. And it's been an honor to know everybody. I see a lot of these names, people who are following this and everything, and I've been getting to know a lot of you, and I've certainly been listening and trying to give feedback. Get your feedback, and I'm trying to incorporate what I can, as we go, and. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to make something that's we're all going to be excited about and proud of. And I just appreciate your support and assistance in getting it done. So, yeah.
Again, thank you for being a part of this today. And then, obviously we'll connect again.
Oh yeah. And, always.
yeah. So again, I don't want to hold you up. I'm going to do the shout outs of the show, but
Okay.
I'll definitely talk
Right.
to you soon, Jeffrey.
Well, any final question? I want to make sure that 30 seconds, any final questions anybody has or anything? Yeah.
Sue just commented that she totally understands what you were saying in regards to the perks and everything in the Indiegogo. So she commented on that.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for being out there. Don't worry about being late. You can actually catch the show. We're going to be, cutting off shortly, but you can actually catch everything. We just shared a few links just to check out. If you have any questions and you want to just ask Jeffrey really quickly, please let me know. And if not, and if you think of any questions, let me know, and then I can relay them to Jeffrey as well, too.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
We can do that. But yeah, this has been great.
Yeah. Okay.
Time was fast, Jeffrey. It was a quick hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, always. But yeah, we'll stay in touch as always, my friend. So just keep in touch. And everybody, thank you so much for your support and helping getting this thing going. Oh, why did you change the title of the documentary? Okay, a couple things. If you look on IMDb, there are probably 30-something movies called The Eagle Has Landed. And, they're all for different reasons and different, it was probably about August before we did our original Kickstarter that I think I was waking up one morning. I was like, this thing is like more of an obsession when I think about the people. And I don't mean obsession in a bad way. I think obsession can be good, right? There's a good obsession. I'm obsessed with this because it means something. It's important. And so the idea here is it's not obsession like these are crazy people. It's more like these are people who are passionate about something, a time, and holding on to something that we all have hope for going forward in the future. That's what it is. So the term obsession, I think, felt better. And by the way, if you're scrolling through Netflix and you're looking at documentaries and you see The Eagle Has Landed, it's like, oh, okay. But if you say The Eagle Obsession, I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Eagle Obsession. What is that? And we've gotten a universal positive response to it, even from fans, Eagle guys. There's so many people, if you look in the comments on YouTube, they're like, yeah, it's an obsession for me. I got to be honest. I own 20 of them. I'm obsessed, So I think it fits better. So that's why we went that way. So, yeah. So,
yeah. And, just to piggyback off of what you just said, it's interesting too, because there's different degrees of that obsession or passion, I should say too, that is felt by the fans. And it's amazing how that resonates. And it's something that really, really definitely holds true.
Absolutely.
Folks are just commenting saying that they're going to be checking out the pages to help with the support.
That's great.
Just to let you know.
One of the things to remember too with these kinds of things, also, like the more money it has in it early, the more that people psychologically coming at it from the outside go, hey, this thing looks good. It looks like it's gonna win, right? There's this sort of psychology. So if you could tip it to the early side, we really appreciate your support earlier, because the bigger the number is earlier, the more money we're going to raise. It's just the way the psychology works. People are like, oh, this is a winner. I'm jumping on board with a winner. Whereas if it looks like it's taking time, people go, oh, this is probably not going to make it. So I don't know. Right. And that's more people who are not passionate or engaged. I'm talking about, the outsiders, right. And everything. So the sooner people jump in, the better it helps. It also helps the Indiegogo algorithm to push it higher within Indiegogo, because obviously Indiegogo makes money off of this. They want things that are successful to continue to be perpetuated,
And right now, this just opened up 2 days ago, and it is at the 10% mark. It's at about $5,200, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we've gotten 10% in 2 days. That's pretty awesome. So yeah.
So just to put that out there, Bill just commented. He said, "Yes, will you both be at Wonderfest? If so, see you there." Glad to hear you will be at Wonderfest. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it, Bill. I know Jeffrey is going to be there. So,
yeah, I am planning to. I did make the decision this past week to do Wonderfest. I'm gonna be there, and I'm also planning to show footage that we just, stuff that people have never seen before at Wonderfest. That's where I'm gonna debut it. So it'll be a chance to see things that no one's ever seen.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think, yep, you just said Coolio. So I think we're good. All right. Again,
all right,
Jeffrey,
okay.
And I will talk to you soon. And folks, just stay by, and I will just say goodbye to Jeffrey for now. One last comment. Andrew saying, I had to wait a very long time to get
Yeah,
an Eagle. Now I
it may
have
be a little bit of an obsession. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey. I'll talk to you
All right.
soon.
We'll see.
All right, folks. So really appreciate you coming on late tonight as we are wrapping up. So I'm just going to go to the shout out portion of the show, and this is just to give you an awareness about what's going to be coming up. First, I was just want to say I was part of a murder mystery theater production this past weekend, and it was in Harmony, New Jersey, and this was part of Country Gate Players, and it was a fantastic weekend. We did 3 shows back to back, so just want to say what a great time it was to be with my fellow friends as well as cast members, and it was a lot of fun. So we just completed tonight, so that was pretty awesome. And in regards to Country Gate, which is the theater that was representing this, my friend Bill Scarrato, that actually runs the theater, has just kicked off the 52nd season of Country Gate. And The Odd Couple, if you are in the Belvedere, New Jersey area, will be shown the weekend of April 20th and 21st and April 27th and 28th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. So definitely check out the website for information. Even if you're not in the area, you can take a look at it. It's www.countrygate.org. And also take a look at Bill's website, which is www.billscarrato.com. And again, that's the Country Gate Players, Country Gate Theater in Belvedere, New Jersey. Also, I want to give a shout out to friends Mike and Mary Beth from Sci-Fi Distilled. Sci-Fi Distilled is on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they are going to be back on March 6th, and they will be talking about bad movies we enjoy watching. So definitely check Mike and Mary Beth out. And again, that's on Sci-Fi Distilled, and that's this Wednesday. Also, I want to give a shout out to Captain Phil's Planet, WUSB 90.1 FM, Stony Brook, New York. The captain's schedule is on Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, shout out to Trek Talking, the Star Trek podcast. We appreciate their support of the show. And if you have the opportunity, definitely check them out. You can go to their Facebook site for information. Also, I want to give a shout out to Martha for Studio One Thrift. Studio One Thrift showcases their lineup for all seasons, all year long, bringing quality, stylish, affordable clothing for both men and women. You can also receive styling updates. Just to visit the website, it's www.studioonethrift.com. And make sure to subscribe when you click on there. And also, I want to give a shout out to my friend Warren and regards to the Space 1999 convention. The 50th anniversary convention is going to be taking place in September, and it's from September 11th through September 17th. And you can go for information on the convention website, which is going to be www.space199950years.com for informational updates in regards to the convention, guests, and hotel. And also, I want to give a shout out to my friend and my co-host, Mr. Ross Amico. Ross has 3 shows that he actually does. Actually, I should 3 shows, and it's they are on the weekends and starting on Friday nights. The first one is Picture Perfect, and it's on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then he also does a show that's called Sweetness and Light. It's on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And then also The Lost Chord, which is also on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Ross's website, in order to get information on this, this is broadcast on KWAX. So that's going to be kwax.uoregon.edu. For detailed information about the shows that Ross is covering, you can go to Ross's Facebook page, where he actually talks about the different shows, and it's under Classic Ross Amico. And speaking of Ross and I will be back this Friday, March 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are going to be doing the next episode of the show, which is going to be episode number 223. It's going to be Heroes of Sci-Fi Part 2. We actually covered Part 1 about maybe 3 weeks ago, and we ran out of time because we were being very detailed in our descriptions. Ross and I actually did not tell each other about the heroes that we had picked. So it was kind of a surprise to both of us, and we did not get through our list, and we will be covering that this Friday. So looking forward to that. So again, that will be taking place on March 8th. So I want to thank again everybody that's been out there tuning in tonight. It was always a pleasure to have Jeffrey on. I know this project is a film, and it's going to be really, he's very passionate about it, and it's really going to be pretty spectacular once it comes out. So any type of help that you can help with this project is very much appreciated. I will share the link again on the page. It has been shared on the Facebook page for Royce Tadai Sci-Fi Corner. So definitely look out for updates. Also, I just want to remind everybody, if you do enjoy the show, I would just please ask that if you have not already, please like the Facebook page and also the YouTube page, or subscribe on the YouTube page and follow the show as well. There's, it's very much appreciated. And also, please feel free to share it, because it just helps get the word out in regards to everything. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. Very much appreciated, and look forward to seeing you this coming Friday. Hope you all had a very nice weekend and have a wonderful week ahead. And as I always like to say, live long and prosper. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.